Hello, friends. We are going to do some Shirley English today, talking about some types of sentences. We are also going to do classroom practice 28 together, so make sure that you have that ready to go here in just a few moments. So we've already talked about simple sentences and compound sentences, and today we're going to talk about complex sentences. So I have written on my board a few different sentences. Okay, so let's look at the first one here. Okay, so this says, he finished his homework before he watched TV. Okay, so there are a couple different clauses that make this sentence. Okay, he finished his homework is an independent clause. It can stand on its own. That would make it full sentence. He finished his homework. The dependent clause is before he watched TV. That would not make a complete thought. Before he watched TV, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, but when you put them together using a subordinate conjunction, this makes a complex sentence. So in this sentence, the conjunction was before. It connects the two ideas. He finished his homework before he watched TV. So there's two things happening and they're connected by the word before. So some other words that could be used are after, because, except, until, so that. So it's just connecting the two ideas. Okay, so you could write your complex sentence in this order, just like this. Put your independent clause, a subordinate conjunction, and then a dependent clause, or you could reorder it. You could put the independent clause last. Before he watched TV, he finished his homework. They both mean the same thing. They're just written different ways. So if you put the conjunction first, you need to make sure that you have a comma. Okay, so we are going to practice labeling some sentences, and then we'll get to our worksheet. Before we do that, let's also talk about fragments. So fragments are going to be groups of words that don't make complete sense. They don't make a complete thought because they either don't have a subject or a predicate. So let's look at one. So an example could be several dolphins at the aquarium. This would be a fragment. There is a subject, dolphins, but there's nothing telling us what they did. This doesn't make complete sense. So this would be a fragment. It's missing the predicate. Okay. Also, we would have another example. Until he made the team. That's another fragment. It's missing a complete thought. Until he made the team, what? So what? We don't know what else is happening. So that's a fragment. So we've learned all the different subject or sentence types. So let's do some practice. I'm going to pause the video so I can type some sentences and we can classify them together. All right, so let's look at these 8 practice sentences and we are going to label them. So in the red at the top of my screen, those are the 6 different types of sentences that we know. So S stands for simple sentence, like the sentence Roy sang. SCS is a simple sentence with a compound subject. Roy and Wendy sang. There's 2 subjects. SCV is a simple sentence with a compound verb. Roy sang and danced. He did 2 things. There are 2 verbs. CD is a compound sentence. Roy sang and Wendy danced. So there were 2 separate sentences. A complex sentence is a little like a compound sentence, but it connects them. Roy sang after after Wendy danced. And then a fragment just doesn't make any sense after Wendy danced. Okay, so let's look at each of these sentences and figure out what type of sentence it is. So sentence number 1 says, we leave on our camping trip today. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. So it's not a fragment. We know that. Are there 2 different ideas? No, there's just one idea. Are there complex or compound subjects? No, just one, we. Are we doing 2 things? No, we're just leaving. So this is just a simple sentence. So I'm going to type in S. Let's look at number 2. While we were in town, we stopped for ice cream. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. So this is not a fragment. This is going to be some type of sentence. Okay. What type of sentence? This is not a simple sentence. There are not 2 subjects or 2 verbs. So this is either a compound sentence or a complex sentence. While we were in town, we stopped for ice cream. There is a connecting word. There's a conjunction. That word is while. So this is a complex sentence. CX is how we label complex. While we were in town, we stopped for ice cream. It's a connecting, okay? Number 3, my mom and dad worked in the yard today. Does that make sense? Yes, so this is not a fragment. We always need to ask ourselves that first, okay? Is there 2 subjects? Yes, mom and dad. So this is a simple sentence with compound subjects. Great job. Number 4, during our trip to Yellowstone National Park. Does that make complete sense? No, that is a fragment. Those are probably the easiest to find. Number 5, we got lost when we drove through the big city. We got lost when we drove through the big city. There is a subordinate conjunction. There's a connecting word to connect 2 separate thoughts. That word is when. We got lost when we drove through the big city. So when is connecting those 2 thoughts. So this is another complex sentence. Okay. Number 6, we wore our rain jackets, but it didn't rain. We wore our rain jackets, but it didn't rain. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. There is a conjunction word. The word but is connecting 2 ideas. This is not a subordinate conjunction. This is just a normal conjunction. So instead of being a complex sentence, this is going to be a compound sentence. Okay. Number 7, they travel and visit new places every year. That makes complete sense. So it's not a fragment. Are there 2 subjects? No, but there's 2 verbs, travel and visit. So this is a simple sentence with compound verbs. And lastly, number 8, the battery was dead. The toy would not work. There are 2 separate ideas here. There are no conjunctions used. No connecting words are used. So this is just a compound sentence. All right. So now let's get out classroom practice number 28. What I'd like for you to do is pause the video and try this worksheet on your own, and then come back to the video to check your work. I think that's how you're going to learn the best. So let me stop sharing. You should be able to see me now again. So we're going to start at the top. We're going to classify the sentences, which means just label. Okay. So number 1 says Leroy and Austin waited for a ride on the city bus. So we look for prepositions first. For is a preposition. For what? Ride, object of the preposition. A, article, adjective. On is another preposition. On what? Bus, object of the preposition. The, article, adjective. What kind of bus? City, adjective. That is all the prepositions. So we have Leroy and Austin waited. Who waited? Leroy, subject noun. Austin, subject noun. Since there are 2 subject nouns, we're going to put the C's for compound subject noun. And is a conjunction, C. What is being said about Leroy and Austin? They waited, verb. Very good. We split the subject from the predicate right before the verb. So Leroy and Austin get 1 underline. Waited for a ride on the city bus gets 2. This is a period statement declarative sentence that follows subject, noun, verb, pattern 1. How did you do? All right, let's try number 2. He and I ran and played together during recess. Are there any prepositions in this sentence? There is 1, during. During what? Recess, object of the preposition. So who or what ran and played? He and I. Compound subject pronoun, compound subject pronoun. And is a conjunction. What is being said about he and I? He and I ran and played. Ran, compound verb. Played, compound verb. And is a conjunction. Ran and played how? Together, adverb. So we split the sentence right before the verb. So the subject is he and I. The predicate is ran and played together during recess. This is a period statement declarative sentence. Subject, noun, verb, pattern 1. Great job labeling the sentences. All right, so next we are going to figure out which type of sentence each one is, and we'll write the labels on the lines, okay? So we have F for fragment, S for simple sentence, SCS, simple compound subject, SCV, simple compound verb, CD is compound sentence, and CX is complex. So let's go through these. So number 1, the delicious chocolate fudge on the counter. Does that make any sense? No, so that is a fragment. Okay, that one is a fragment. Number 2, the baby was very sleepy and she took a long nap. So I circled the word and because that is a conjunction. It's a connecting word. And since we have comma and, this is a compound sentence. CD. So I think it's easy to circle the connecting words. Number 3, my kitten slept in my bed until Mom called us for breakfast. So until is one of those conjunctions. It's that connecting word to connect two ideas. This one, since it uses the word until, is a complex. They depend on one another, okay? Number 4, my homemade kite crashed in the pond. That does make a complete thought. There is not double of anything, and I don't see any conjunction. So this one's just a simple sentence. Number 5, butterflies and honeybees flew around the flowers. So there's that word and is connecting butterflies and honeybees. So those are subjects of the sentence. So this is a simple sentence with compound subjects, SCS. See why I like labeling these conjunction words? Number 6, the nurse listened and asked questions. So and, listened and asked. Listened and asked are verbs. So this is a simple sentence with compound verbs, SCV. And lastly, we have before we left, Grandpa gave us a hug. So before is a conjunction, it's a connecting word. Based on this sentence, it is a complex, CX. How'd you do with that? All right, so lastly, we are going to use a slash to separate each clause, and then we're writing complex sentences as indicated with the words. So let's do this together. We have Tina walked the dog, she ate dinner. Where should we divide those clauses? Right, we have Tina walked the dog slash she ate dinner. And this is telling us that we're using the word before, and it will be a clause, then the word before, and then to. Okay, so the second. So this sentence is going to say Tina walked the dog before, and then the second clause, she ate dinner. So that before slash to is telling you that this word is coming before the second clause. So we put Tina walked the dog before she ate dinner. Now for the second sentence, it has after and then clause number 1. So we know that we're going to start this sentence with the word after. So where should we divide the clauses? We have Donnie got home. He took a long shower. Donnie got home, and then we separate it from he took a long shower. So our new sentence is after Donnie got home. Comma, he took a long shower. And I knew to use a comma because there is one listed there. Okay. If you thought this was a little tricky, you are not alone. We are going to keep doing practices like this together so that you can be really confident in your skills, okay? I'll see you tomorrow.